All right, in this video, we're going to discuss the use of the diminished scale in the blues, in a 12-bar blues, and try to kind of bring some light, shed some light on how one can go about this. And so one of the first things I want to say is we're going to stick with the key of B flat for the blues. There's no real reason for that. It's just the way it is. So just to be clear, the diminished scale that we're talking about is the whole half diminished. So in B flat, that's it. I put a little chromatic at the end. Anyways, that's the scale that we're talking about. The 8-note or symmetrical octatonic scale, whole half diminished, which is the same as half whole diminished down a half step. And if you're viewing this video, you should already know that. If you're not aware of that, seek me out or figure out a way to find that information out. All right. So what I'm going to try to do here is really play some simple ideas and try to kind of narrate, which is for me not easy. It's like walking and chewing gum. I'm not that coordinated. But I'm going to try to narrate what I'm playing in the most basic and simple way that I possibly can. So we're going to start out first with no diminished scale in there, just so we have a basis for understanding and you can kind of see the way I'm trying to have the video turn out. So our blues for this example is just going to be B flat. Actually, we'll play those shorter. E flat, B flat, E flat, B flat, F, E flat, B flat, F, or 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 5, 4. That's what happens when you don't pay attention. 1, 5. That's the whole thing, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is try to call out some scales. And again, this is without the diminished part, but just keeping it really simple. And then we'll build upon it from there. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, B flat mixolydian, B flat Dorian, B flat mixolydian, B flat Dorian, B flat mixolydian, F mixolydian, B flat Dorian, B flat mixolydian, and then F mixolydian. So you can hear that when the E flat chord sounds, I'm using B flat Dorian, which is really the same pitch collection as E flat mixolydian. I was just kind of keeping it more tonicized since we're in a B flat blues, right? The only reason I can't do that with the F chord, right? F is the 5 chord from B flat, and it would be the B flat major scale, but it seems like a funny thing to think about a dominant 7th chord and playing a major scale over it that you have to transpose a 5th away or a 4th up, sorry, a 5th down or a 4th up. So that's why we didn't do that. So once again, the recap is when the chord is B flat 7, the scale is B flat mixolydian. When the chord is E flat 7 or 9, E flat 9, it's B flat Dorian. And when it's F7, it's F mixolydian. And that's it. That's the 3 scales that I use. So let me not talk over the top of that and just try to play a little bit better content. 1, 2, 3. All right, close enough. Now let's begin to bring in some of this diminished stuff. One of the most popular or common places that this can occur, I'll play the chords and we'll go from there. So you can hear where it is in the progression. That's one place. So when that one chord goes to the 4 chord the second time around, let's do that again. First time it goes to the 4 chord, we don't do anything. This time. And you, by the way, you don't have to have all those chords in there to make it work. I'm just trying to set it apart so you can tell what's going on. All right, so let me now play a line. And remember, the scale that we're going to use to get to the 4 chord is B flat diminished, right? Because we're in the key of we're in a B flat blues, so kind of key of B flat, but blues. The easy way for you to remember that is that way, okay? So here we go. Now, I just literally went down the scale because I'm trying to keep it simple. So once again, I won't talk and we'll do the same thing. All right, give one more example. We'll run the scale again, so maybe it's a little easier to hear. 1, 2, 3. That's another place right there. So what that is the second measure of the E flat 9. Instead of just leaving that alone, we're superimposing E diminished over that. Okay, so that's a great place to grab the root 5 fingering. So let's do that. Beginning again. 3, 4. All right, so that's about halfway through the blues, right? So we have a little turnaround that occurs if we start adding more chords in. We have another place that we can employ this. And so let's do it first with the chords. Here's that diminished scale right now. Here it is again. Right? Right there on the G7. We'll use A flat diminished. Okay, so let's do that with some lines. So now that you know where it is with the chords, and I'll try to call it out. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. There it is. Here it is again. Here it is again. Now we're going to go to a C minor or a C7 to an F7, back to the 1. And this 5 chord Here's an interesting thing. On this 5 chord, you won't use this diminished because that's not going to support that 5 chord. So far, before I just mentioned that, so far, each time we went to the diminished within the progression, we did that with the tonic diminished, meaning we're in the key of B flat, so we use the B flat diminished. But when it gets that F chord, if I play B flat diminished, I don't have any good notes that go against that F7. But if I drop back a half step, I have all the really good notes. So instead of B flat diminished, we just drop down a half step and play A diminished, which is the same as C diminished, which is the same as E flat diminished, which is the same as G flat diminished. So technically speaking, whichever way works best for your brain to think of that, you certainly can. So you might want to say, oh, well, it's the tonic diminished, and then on the 5 chord, it's a half step down from the tonic diminished. That may work best for you. You might say it's the tonic diminished all the time, and when it gets to that final 5 chord, I play the diminished off the 4 of the key. So the 4 of the key is E flat. E flat diminished, as I mentioned, is one of those. You can hear that goes with that. You could do it that way. You could think of it like, oh, it's the 5 chord, and I go up a half step and play the diminished. That's another great way to think about it. So really what I'm trying to say here is it's the way that your brain processes that information the best way. They're all the same notes, no matter how you slice that or how you think about it, right? The ways that I just mentioned regarding thinking about it, they all contain the same pitch collection. And because the scale is symmetrical, it doesn't have that weight where you like, oh, it's better if I play it from here, because all the notes are symmetrical, right? They're equidistant and symmetrical. It's a pattern. Whole step, half step, whole step, half step. So no matter where you're at within there, it's going to sound good. So if I play F7, that sounds fine. Right? That's F7 with the E flat whole half. That's just the arpeggio, right? So that's the E flat. If I play the F7 and I go up a half step and use G flat diminished, right? Okay. It all works. It's the same. And if you wanted to go up one more time and play off the 3rd of the chord and play that diminished, so all of those are the same. But those would be the places that you could put that. So my suggestion is maybe start really, really simple and just play something maybe like this. This is going to be really simple. 1, 2, 3. Let's do another one of those. 1, 2, 3. So hopefully that tells you the spots to sort of employ it, inject it, input it, infuse it, all words beginning with in. And the other thing I guess I would like to mention is that you should try your very best to do this in different places. And so obviously I was looking at my B flat mixolydian from this perspective, and my B flat Dorian from this perspective, and my F mixolydian from this perspective, but you should try to do these things in other places. So for example, here's B flat mixolydian. Here's B flat Dorian. And here's F mixolydian, maybe from that perspective. So you could even maybe start your F mixolydian here. Let's do that again. Here's your B flat mixolydian. Dorian. And your mixolydian. So then maybe it's a good idea to try to find your diminished material within there. So meaning within that quadrant of where you're playing. And so now maybe your ideas are a little more like this. Now here comes the B flat diminished, right? This is where it should be. Now the E diminished. And then back to B flat mixolydian. And here's the A flat diminished. Now we're going to the C chord, or the F chord if you want to look at it that way. C minor, almost the same as F7. And now your F7 chord. So in other words, you want to have the fluidity to spread that stuff all around the fingerboard, all around, you know what I mean? So that you don't have any weak areas or weak spots. And you just do it by, limiting yourself, saying, I'm just going to play this chorus within this area, Right? And then you play all the one place that we did play it. And the place you can do that is kind of up here. So here's your B flat mixolydian. And then your B flat Dorian. And your B flat mixolydian. And then your F mixolydian. B flat Dorian. Sorry. And then your B flat mixolydian. So here we go. Here's your B flat. Now it's the Dorian. Sorry, I keep making a mistake. I'm sorry. Mixolydian. So you have. Now that's where your B flat diminished would be. So your close note to the B flat diminished would be D flat diminished. So Here's your E diminished, right? So now you have E whole half. Then your F7. And that was the G flat diminished over the F7. Trying to keep the ideas simple, just little vignette type ideas. So that's a way to become familiar with it. And, you want to sort of test yourself, not so much in like playing these great, ideas or these super solos at the beginning. It's just to recognize where that diminished is, see those conversions. So if we go back to the first position, and I'll close the video after this, we go back to the first position that we played this stuff in, not the first position, but not first position on your guitar, just the first place we played it. We had this B flat, this for the 4-chord. So now this is where your B flat diminished is going to be. So let's do that again. No, it's. So you see what I mean? You don't want to end up on the wrong one. So the fingering, right, which is your B flat diminished. So if I just play this, now what do I want? B flat diminished, right? Now you want your E diminished, which is the same as G diminished. Back to B flat mixolydian. Sorry. And sometimes just one note from the scale can make all the difference in the world. So what if I don't play the whole scale and I don't try to run the whole scale? I just try to pick a note from that diminished scale that is not normally part of the mixolydian. Maybe something like this. Now the 4-chord, note that doesn't belong in the 4 chords normal scale. It belongs in the diminished. That's for the G7. C minor. B flat. Here comes the F7. So I just want some G flat diminished stuff. One of the obvious ones right away is so I'm only grabbing one note to sort of, this strap is pissing me off. It just keeps falling down my shoulder. You're just picking out one note to represent that scale, right? To represent that harmonic context or that harmonic sound. So let me do that again. Maybe pick some different notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. feel really good about that example. It's not that it was any earth-shattering playing, but example-wise, I felt that I picked good notes, picked good things. It had a melodic push and content to it, and it was pretty simple and basic in its nature. And so I think that's really the way to develop it. If you have to write the notes of the scale down on a piece of paper and figure out what ones don't belong. When I say don't belong, I mean Mixolydian has 7 tones to it, right? And this octatonic diminished has 8 tones. Some of those obviously are the same as the B flat Mixolydian, but others are not. So that's like a really nice way to go about it. And that holds for anything you're trying to improvise over, not if you're just trying to interject diminished. I mean, if you're just trying to go from the 1 chord to the 4 chord and make your way from B flat Mixolydian to B flat Dorian, you want to know what notes those are, right? So in B flat Mixolydian, Dorian, Mixolydian. So those are good ways to go about it. Well, I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, let me know, but that should serve as a decent way to get started getting that diminished in place.